You can use hair and fur modifier for more control over your rug. So just add the hair and fur modifier. I'm going to reset my material. I'm going to clear the map and set it to basic red color. Okay, as you can see, the hair looks a bit too long. Now you can reduce the length by reducing the scale. Right, let's render and see how it looks. And as you can see, we cannot see anything while we render it with V-Ray. So if you're using V-Ray frame buffer and rendering in V-Ray, you want to go to Effect, select Hair and Fur, and set it to Mental Ray Prim or Geometry. Let's start with Mental Ray Prim. Okay. And now you can see the hair looks pretty much the same as in viewport. And it's much too thick. Let's reduce the root thickness to 2. Okay, I think we can make it longer. Right. Okay, so if you're using a hair and fur modifier, you have many adjustments you can use for your hair. For example, you can go here and set up some clumping, increase the strength, and you can see the hair sort of clumps. Let's increase the number. This way you can get some pretty interesting results very quickly. For example, let's rotate the clumps a bit. Right, now you can control the frizz. For example, make the tips more frizzy, or make the roots more frizzy. Many options here. Okay. Make the hair a bit curlier. So lots of settings to play with and get some interesting results. If you want to make the hair curlier, you probably want to increase the hair segments to get some smoother curves in there. And you can increase the hair count so it covers the whole area better. Okay, but know that higher hair count usually equals higher render times. As you can see, the material of the base object and the hair does not match at all. That's because if you're using Mental Ray Prim, the hair material is controlled here in the hair and fur modifier. For example, if you copy this color from the diffuse here and paste in the root color slot, and you can control the tip color separately. For example, let's make it lighter and more orange. And now the color should match with the base. Well, it almost does, but I think it's close enough. You can still see some gaps between the hair, so you need to increase the hair count a bit more. So let's change that to 100,000 hair. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe let's change the tip color back to red. And remove the tip fade option here to increase the render speed a bit. Okay, let's reduce the hue variation slightly. Let's set it to 2, and the value, set it to 20, and increase the speculars. Now let's tint them red. Okay, and let's see how that looks now. That's a pretty interesting rug here. As you can see, you can get all sorts of results by adjusting the parameters. Okay, let's save that. Okay, let's get rid of the clamping. Clumping, and let's make the speculars less saturated. Alright. So the cool thing about hair and fur is that you can actually brush it. So to do that you need to select the guides sub-object, and you can use these different hair brushes to manipulate the hair. For example, let's brush it sort of like this. Just add some variety to the direction of the hair strands. Okay, you can brush from different viewports. And when you're done, just click the Finish Styling. Okay, let's style a bit more over here. Alright, and Finish Styling. And you can render out your result. So I have some hair here going into the ground. That's because I wasn't too careful while brushing, and some of the hair here as well. So make a test render, see where the problems are, and you can try to fix them by brushing those areas a bit more. For example, I have a problem area here. I'm going to click Style Hair, set Perspective, and bring this part up like this. Okay. And that should fix that. Let's style this area here. All right. Let's try a different color. For example, let's try blue. And re-render. Okay, a bit more brushing is needed. Sometimes these areas just get sunk into the ground. You have to go in and bring them upwards like that. And re-render. It's a bit of a trial and error, but you can get some nice results here. The more time you spend brushing the hair, the more polished your rug looks. Okay, and I think that's pretty nice. Long, shaggy carpet, or colored fur. Okay, save it. But what if you want to use a different material on your rug instead of this default material included in the hair and fur modifier? Well, since you can't really change that here, in the options you can only go to your Effects tab, Effects window, and change the hairs from Mental Ray Prim to Geometry. And this way we are able to treat them as geometry and ignore this material here. So for example, if you set this up as a regular V-Ray material, for example, let's set up a fall-off map. Let's set up a texture here, let's use this one. Let's blend the second color with light purple, maybe like that. I'm just gonna create some highlights here on the material. Alright. And now we are going to use this material instead of the hairandfur material. But it's also probably going to take a bit longer to render. Okay, and this way you can use any material you like with hairandfur objects. Just set it to geometry and it will render just fine.